Leinster Championship round 3 over the weekend. Dublin 122, Wexford 23 points. Now, you're saying this game didn't really do it for you, but it definitely does something for the Leinster Championship. Galway, Kilkenny and Dublin, they're all top with 5 points each. Now, Dublin, they've drawn with Antrim, they've beaten Westmeath, and now they've beaten Wexford, even though there was plenty of people out there saying that Wexford would get the result here. In the final couple of games, Dublin are going to have to play Kilkenny and Galway. Now, Wexford will need to beat Kilkenny, and they'll also need Dublin to be dropping points in the hope of leapfrogging them on the way home here. Now, Wexford have already played the big three at the top, if you want to call them that, and they'll be expecting to get results against Antrim and Westmeath. But I suppose last year, Wexford drew with Westmeath, so they won't be looking at it as a foregone conclusion. But I suppose Dublin put a lot right in this game in terms of, like, people were relatively writing them off.
Yeah, it was just based on some of it was probably based on the Antrim game. I'd say the first day out, they would, you're thinking if they're going to get out of Leinster that they should get a result in Corrigan Park. They were probably lucky to do so. We probably need to chat about Donal Burke a fair bit, Shane. Some of the things he got a point in the first half. It was funny. It was actually a mad point because this rarely happens. Conor Donoghue went to hit a line ball and actually missed it. And then hit it again, and it just went about 50 yards straight into Burke's hand, and he kind of just done a few little shapes and threw the ball over from near the sideline. But some of the things that he's able to do, and how easy he's able to make point scoring look from a variety of distance and angles, is phenomenal.
He's just like normally players don't do this thing of sitting in the pocket and scoring, but how often does he seem to just stand a little bit off the play, get the ball, and then you're just waiting for the inevitability of him blasting it over from 60, 70, 80 yards. He's one of the riskiest players out there. Like, he has silken wrists. And where does he rank in terms of the current best hurlers in Ireland? Like, if we were doing a sort of a top 10, would he be in it? And would he be more likely to be in it if he played for one of the, I suppose, bigger lights?
I think the latter part of your question is the big one, is that, he is probably... he's carrying the main threat of the Dublin forward line. If he was, I put it this way, if Donal Burke was playing in a better forward line, we'll say on a Limerick team, shall we say, and where he wasn't being given specialist attention in every game, like, he could be hitting 5 or 6 per game, probably, could he? Yeah. So, like, it's kind of difficult when you're ranking kind of guys like that. You kind of have to kind of see. It's probably easy to put a load of Limerick lads in that equation, but then you're thinking, yeah, they're all surrounded by really, really top players, nearly all stars. Whereas Donal Burke doesn't have any all stars yet, and he's the one that's leading the line and expected to lead the line every day.
Okay, John Noonan points out. Yeah, sorry, I got myself a little bit confused there. I had initially said that Wexford have to beat Kilkenny now to get through, and they do. So they've already played Antrim, and they won that game by 4 points, and they weren't great in the second half in that game. So yeah, sorry, I had that a little bit muddled. But
I don't think as well, just on that, and we talk about the game in a second, like, Kilkenny are not gonna want to lose to Wexford 2 years in a row. Like, that was one of the worst performances under Brian Cody, that game in Nolan Park last year, and I'm sure they'll be out to right a bit of a wrong in that last game as well.
Yeah, and it's not like they've qualified just yet either.
Yeah,
and like, if they want to retain the Leinster title and win it 4 years in a row now, I think it would be, they're going to have to, continue keeping up their good form. But this Dublin against Wexford game, it was like, I did really feel that Dublin were hard done by in the second half, in terms of, like, there was 4 decisions in a fairly short space of time that I thought it was very, very harsh. At one stage, Donal Burke was being fouled and been held up, and then he was even dunted on the ground by, I think, maybe Matthew O'Hanlon afterwards, and there was no free. And not only that, it was moved up, and there was a couple of other frees where players were being bottled up, not being given they were being fouled, and I was like, Dublin are going to end up losing this game because of a couple of harsh decisions. I'm not saying the referee went out to do them at all, but it just felt like it was going to be one of those days. But even more to their credit that they got it across the line. People said they shouldn't have played it at Croke Park. They played it at Croke Park, probably thinking of the greater good down the line, in terms of you have to win games there if you want to compete with the very best. And then to win when you're not, like, let's call a spade, they're not free scoring on the inside line.
Yeah.
Gino Sullivan scored 1-1, and, like, the goal came from, it was a long free into the area. Like, people can say that James Lawler came out for the ball, didn't get it, but I would have said that the defenders need to hold out Gino Sullivan.
Yeah.
No defender should be let in near that. But look, Dublin getting it done, I think, was very, very impressive. And Paddy Doyle, like, start of the year, we were talking about who are the top 5 young lads. and I was insisting that he had to go in because of what I'd seen at college and whatever. Like, this is a fresher, and he performed like that. So I'm going.
Not your typical, we'll say if he's playing in the inside line of defence as well, not your typical, corner back or anything like that. How comfortable is he on the ball? So good on the ball. His deliveries are top class as well. His use of possession is really, really good. And just something I want to say to you as well, something you reminded me there with the referee's decision. Do you remember the one in the Tipperary Cork game where it looked like Rob Downey had the ball actually pulled out of his hand at one stage, and he was fouled just before that, and the play stopped completely. That point was allowed. There was no issue with that. Sure, there wasn't. It was actually allowed.
Yeah, it was allowed, and not only that, there was an opportunity to work a goal.
Yeah, it did look like a free before that on a couple of counts.
Look, it was a free. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what the referee's read on it was, but I couldn't believe it wasn't a free because Rob Downey took some serious hits in the middle of that, didn't he?
I'm not going to lie. The fact that Paul O'Dwyer half swallowed the whistle the other night made it make it the game that it was, to be fair. On the Dublin Wexford game, I'd say the first half was a difficult enough watch. I would say Dublin got themselves in a great position with the goal. As you say, the keeper cannot be coming. The only way the keeper can be coming out there at all is if the fullback is completely holding out the forward and he has time to kind of catch the ball with no hurler, no distraction in around there. It wasn't the case. The ball was basically tipped into an empty net again, which I hate. The fact that there was just a quick one for you here on the attendance. So there was less than 10,000 in Croke Park the other night. We've all heard that it takes about 20,000 to break even in Croke Park. You've heard that as well? So so Dublin asked for the game to be played in Croke Park. So who takes the loss on that game, on the money that essentially the GA lost in that game? And it's a bit mad. Would any other team?
Leinster Council?
Jesus, it's definitely a question that needs to be answered anyway, isn't it? Like it's a bit of a mad one, really, when you think about it.
Yeah. Okay, well, just coming back to the games and the players, like as the game was going on, I was sort of like marking off who I thought were getting some nice scores in this game. And it was Dublin who were continually getting nice scores. Like Danny Sutcliffe got a lovely one from the sideline after 14 minutes. To be fair, Rory O'Connor got a beauty. I don't know if you saw it, just up at the far corner. He did a little pirouette and knocked it over from the sideline.
Unlucky with the one that hit the crossbar as well. Really unlucky.
Yeah, and then the second half went on. Donal Burke got a brilliant one at the start of the second half. He soloed past two men and off the stick over the bar. Then there was a great one. Sean Brennan hit a puck out to Burke. He popped it off to Chris O'Leary. Nice finish there. Paul Crummy got a nice one. There was a sideline ball that went into Keane O'Sullivan. He got a point. Like basically all the really good scores were coming from Dublin. So there's a bit of silk to that team as well. And you would have looked at it and said, oh, Wexford are going to have all the better hurlers and all that. And when Ronan Hayes went off injured as well, I mean, like Robbie O'Flynn, that could be his championship done at this stage. You just don't know. It depends on the severity of it. Actually, Neil McManus had to limp off against Kenny. And he looked to be he was walking off very, very slowly the way he limped. So I'm just pretty impressed with Dublin to get the victory there. Do you think that Darragh Egan looks at the decision to not start Conor McDonald and thinks, I might have got this one wrong? Because I didn't agree with it beforehand, and certainly after it, I don't agree.
Yeah, no, McDonald was brilliant when he came in, and he was good when he came in the previous week as well. I don't know. I had it in my own head. The reason that he wasn't playing the week before was that they wanted more mobility in the forward line and forwards that could rotate into different positions. And realistically, he's looked at it as a 14 and probably not anywhere else. I don't think I'm wrong in saying that. That's generally where he operates, and whether he'd move around and would play wing forward or would have the pace to be out in the half line, I'm not so sure. But he made a massive impact when he came in. And yeah, would you not have Conor McDonald in the top 5 or 6 Wexford players? Like outside of Chin, outside of Liam Ryan, probably Dio O'Keefe, Rory O'Connor. McDonald's not a million miles behind. And
Dio O'Keefe couldn't play as well, so obviously
yeah. And they obviously had Rec back, and Liam Ryan did well to last as long as he did, realistically, because I thought he was in big bother before half time and he was really badly strapped up. You could see they were doing whatever they could to try and get the result, but like Liam Ryan's going to be in bother now for the next couple of games as well. And just on Ronan Hayes as well, I felt really bad for him. So he pulled his hamstring while sprinting, like as in he was at top speed, but it took him about 7 or 8 strides to slow down, and that's where the damage is done, because he's still running at full speed. So I'd be surprised if he's able to feature in the rest of the Leinster Championship, and potentially even beyond if they get out.
Yeah, Hurling 1234 says, who's number 8 for Dublin with the white and yellow helmet? Nice player. That's Mark Rogan, and someone who's been very good, I think, over the years at Kilmacud Crokes. I think he's
did he not leave? Yeah, did he not leave for Australia after Ballyhale beat them? Or am I thinking of somebody else?
Dara Butler.
Dara Butler. Sorry, yeah. Okay, yeah. He's a good player, in fairness to him, and yeah, there'll probably be more and more Kilmacud lads coming in over the next couple of years, I'd imagine too.
Yeah, like I watched him for the last few years for Kilmacud. I think he was made captain when he was something like 19 or 20 of Crokes, which is no mean feat. But yeah, he's a good player. So